Hello everyone, how are you doing? Today I want to talk about buildings. New buildings, old buildings, modern structures, skyscrapers, the lot. We're going to up our game, get creative and see buildings in a new light. So there's buildings everywhere. Our towns and cities are crammed full of them. So we're spoiled for choice really. So here's 5 steps to get amazing pictures of buildings. Step 1, shoot wide. Now by shooting wide, I mean step back. Have a look at it from afar. Take a walk around the building, see how it fits in within the environment, see how it fits in with all the other buildings within its surrounding. So start off by shooting that wider view. Include those other buildings, include those surroundings. Think of that building as a mountain as it would be in the landscape. There's your background, but where's your foreground? You haven't got rocks as you would in the landscape, but you've got other foreground features. You've got the urban environment, you've got urban furniture. So use those as your foreground. Step 2, get up close and look up. Now if a building is tall, then you'll have no option to look up, but you can use that to your advantage. This is where you get the creative shots. Put on the wide angle lens, point the camera up and exaggerate those lines and perspective. Now you've probably been told that when you photograph buildings, you've got to keep the camera nice and straight. Forget that. Point the camera up and distort the hell out of it. This is a time for converging verticals, not straight lines. And when you do point the camera up, try to put the very top of the building into one corner of the frame. That means you get one line that's straight, parallel with the edge of the frame, and then the other is a nice diagonal. Diagonals are really strong, really add impact, so use those diagonals. Step 3, keep it straight. Okay, we'll calm down now. What if we do want things a bit more conservative? What if we want all those straight lines, well, straight? Does this mean we have to buy an expensive shift lens? No way. Photoshop or Lightroom is your friend here, and just one click of the perspective control and your converging verticals are straight again, all without the use of an expensive shift lens. I lost my shift lens when I sold all my Canon gear and went over to the Olympus system, and I haven't looked back since. So if you do want your verticals straight, then just step back, go for the wider view and use your foreground to fill up the empty area at the front. If you do need to point your camera up, then just click on those perspective controls in Photoshop and everything's right again. Step 4, abstracts. Okay, now's the time to get really creative and think abstract. So swap over to a telephoto lens and zoom in. Think shape, think lines, think reflections. These modern buildings are covered in acres of glass, so they reflect anything and everything around them. So use that to your advantage. Get that working for you. What are the main features and how was it designed? Try and get into the mind's eye of the architect who designed and built it. Well, he didn't actually build it, the construction guys built it, but he told them where to put the bricks. But you get what I mean anyway. And anything goes with these abstracts. There's no rules, so just get in close, fill the frame, and just photograph whatever captures your eye. Okay, step 5, shooting at night. Come back at night time and you'll have an entirely different looking building. Well, not entirely different, it will just be the same building but with lights on, but it will look different. And the thing I love about architecture is that even the most mundane building, the most boring looking office block, just comes alive when it's lit up at night. And these are everywhere, every town, every city. No excuse not to get these. And don't just stop there. Come back at different times of the day, come back at different times of the year. This building is changing all the time. Well, the building isn't changing, but the light is. So shoot it in the morning, shoot it in the afternoon, shoot it in the evening, shoot it on a bright day, shoot it on a foggy day. It's all different and it will give you different results, all from one building. Step 6, go inside. Okay, this was meant to be a 5-step plan, but we're on a roll here, so let's go for a bonus one. Now this doesn't apply to every building, you can't go into every building, but there are some you can, especially older buildings. See, I told you I was going to talk about older buildings too. And many look even better on the inside than they do on the outside. And you can start off by shooting the staircase, especially if they've got a spiral staircase. These always look amazing. You can shoot from the top, you can shoot from the bottom, but they always look amazing. And talking of old buildings, cathedrals are wonderful buildings to shoot. They're old, they're majestic, and they look beautiful, especially on the inside. So go shoot a cathedral. So those are my top tips for shooting. What about security? What? They want to know about security? What if they get stopped by security? Oh yeah, good point. Security. Okay, so here are the facts. Some buildings are on private land and some are on public land. Now you can't take pictures of the buildings if you're stood on the private land, but you can take pictures of those buildings if you're stood on the public land, public pavement. they can't stop you taking pictures from there. Security can't stop you. And I suppose the problem is knowing the difference, which is private, which is public. Well, you could ask, and if you're confronted, then you could ask if you're stood on the private land or public land. But if you are confronted and you are confident you're stood on the public pavement, then do stand up to them. Exercise your rights. Just be polite. And no, a security guard cannot force you to delete any images. Not even the police can do that unless you're being arrested. But if you don't like confrontation, then sometimes it's best just to move on. Sometimes it's just not worth the hassle. I'm not saying all security guards are the same. There's some really good guys out there, and they're just doing their job of protecting the building. I think the main issue with security is that they don't like you taking pictures of the front entrance, which is fair enough, and it's probably not where the best shots are anyway. So if you are confronted, you could just show them pictures you've been taking so far, just be up front and say what you're doing, and they're usually pretty cool about it. And if you're using a tripod, then that does often attract more attention, so it's often best to shoot handheld instead. Now, one tip I can give you that probably applies more to you than it does to me is that I always tell them I'm an amateur, never a professional, and that pictures are always for my own use, which they probably are for you. Basically, you're just telling them what they want to hear. But if all else fails, just tell them I told you it was all right. So here's some examples. You can take pictures from here, but you can't take them from here. Here you can, oh, and here you can't. Here you can't officially take pictures, but they usually let you anyway, so that's cool. Oh, and here too. So those are my 5-6 steps to upping your architecture game. So what are you waiting for? Get out there.